abiding life to be found in you, Lord. The abiding life. You are our refuge, Jesus, live in me, and may I.
Here's what he says. He begins by stating, he states like a fact. He states this: I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And that's not really like a welcome statement, right? That's like a little bit of distancing that he puts, at least initially. It seems like a distancing that's happening between them, right? And again, another broken rule, right? Rather than like drawing the person in, it seems like he's pushing her away a little bit. And actually, he's just declaring a kind of a fact that she's said that she knows him as the Messiah, and he's saying, yeah, but I was not sent except to the house of Israel. Basically, he's saying that the Messiah was supposed to come through the Jews. Like, this is the way things were supposed to come. He's supposed to set things right at home. And indeed, we know the gospel is to go out to the ends of the world. I mean, here we are today, very far away from where this happened, knowing about this precious gospel, knowing that it is here. But Jesus knows that it has to start there and be true there first. After all, there is no New Testament, there is no gospel without the fulfillment and the history and the established facts of the Old Testament. And Jesus is in some ways just attaching his ministry to everything that came before. It's not New Testament only, it's New Testament as an arrival point from the Old. And he's basically making that emphatic in his statements. He's emphasizing the way in which he was sent, telling her the plain truth. And this is the second part of their interaction. But he leaves her with this interesting phrase that I think is part of the kind of both distancing and also beginning to draw her in. He says, not that he was just sent to the house of Israel, does he? He doesn't just say that he's only for that nation. No, what does he say about that nation that is very, 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 very important within this text? I was not sent except to the what? The lost sheep. That's really, really, really important. Because he's kind of telling her, although this is the way in which he is to come, he's also telling her that this nation, these people, are not necessarily found, are they? And I think this is the first part of the kind of the bridging of these kind of two worlds. He doesn't say the Jews have it all together. He doesn't say that salvation is only for them. He just tells her that it is for the house of Israel, but it is for the lost sheep, that they also are lost. And I think that's, again, really, really important for us to understand about his answer. Whenever you're studying an answer of Jesus, make sure you study every word of the answers of Jesus. Sometimes we read through biblical texts, I think, a little bit too fast, right? And you kind of miss a lot of the, what we might call nuance or details in the description that are really important, so we don't just kind of glibly get something out of the text that's actually not there, or lose something that is. The lost sheep, that's who he's come for. The lost sheep of the house of Israel. And I think this is like a kind of a light bulb kind of going off for her. Because think about her predicament, right? She's coming to this foreigner, never met him before, makes this amazing statement about who he is, right? A kind of a head knowledge of the Messiah based on the Old Testament. And she hears lost sheep. I can only imagine that for her ears, this was kind of like, you mean there's other lost people too? And realizing that that's who she is right now. In her situation, she is a lost person, right? She has come out of her region. She's met a foreigner. She's in a despicable situation. It's hard. She is lost. She needs direction. She needs help. She needs healing. The lost sheep, for her, she's thinking, that's me. I may not be of the house of Israel, but if you're sent for the lost, I'm in. And again, I think this is where the Lord begins to really minister and help her to see her own heart. And you know, for us, this issue of lostness is really important in the human experience. If a human being can come to the place in their life where they admit, like freely, like, okay, I don't really know how to live this life. I don't know where I'm going, or I've been going a certain direction and it's not working out, or it's leading me towards things that I know I ought not to do, or it's making me into a person that I don't really want to be. A lot of people are trapped into that. They may have successful paths or careers, whatever, but they see what they've become themselves, and they're like, ugh. No, when human beings can admit they're lost, this is one of the sweetest confessions that there is. You know, we read in the scriptures that the angels rejoice, right? When someone gives their life to Jesus Christ, receives him as Savior and Lord. I can imagine there is a kind of a pre-party when there is confession of lostness, right? It's like, oh, here we go. Like, it's starting to happen. And look what happens to her. Look what happens to her in this text. She begins crying out. And now we read, after he answers her this, it says, then she came and she does what? She came and worshiped him. Worshiped him. That's quite the change. Quite the change in tone. Quite the change in rapport. What seemed like a distancing statement has now, it's drawn her out, hasn't it? It's drawn her out. It's brought her to that realization for herself. And now she worships him.